why should I care? Please don't bother trying.
The 1960s gave us iconic bands like the Beatles and the Rolling Stones. But what about the ones that disappeared? Today, we're uncovering 20 forgotten bands of the 60s that left as quickly as they arrived. Stick around. Some of these stories will blow your mind. 20. The Litter. Formed in 1966 in Minneapolis, The Litter quickly became a staple of the garage rock scene. Their debut single, Action Woman, released in 1967, showcased their raw energy and fuzz-driven sound. The track became a regional hit and later gained cult status, featured on influential compilations like Pebbles Volume 1. The band's lineup included members from two local groups, the Victors and the Tabs, merging talents to create a distinctive psychedelic rock experience. They were known for their dynamic live performances, often sharing stages with prominent acts of the time. Despite their regional success and a dedicated fan base, The Litter struggled to achieve national recognition. They released 3 albums in the late 1960s, each showcasing their evolving sound. However, internal challenges in the rapidly changing music landscape led to their disbandment. The Litter's influence persisted, especially among garage rock enthusiasts. They reunited several times, in 1990, 1992, and 1998, each time reigniting interest in their music. 19. The Five Stairsteps. Dubbed the first family of soul, the Five Stairsteps were a Chicago-based group composed of siblings Allo, Clarence Jr., James, Dennis, and Kenny Burke. Their mother named them because they resembled stair steps when lined up by age. In 1970, they released Ooh Child, a soulful anthem that resonated with themes of hope and resilience. The song became their signature hit, reaching number 8 on the Billboard Hot 100 and earning a spot on Rolling Stone's list of the 500 greatest songs of all time. Despite this success, the group faced challenges in maintaining their momentum. The rise of other family acts, notably the Jackson 5, overshadowed their achievements. They continued to release music and even signed with George Harrison's Dark Horse Records in 1975, but further hits proved elusive. In the late 1970s, some members formed the Invisible Man's Band, achieving moderate success with the 1980 single All Night Thing. Kenny Burke later pursued a solo career, becoming known for the 1982 track Risin' to the Top, which has been widely sampled in hip-hop and R&B.
Ooh, child, things are gonna get easier.
18. The Blues Magoos. Hailing from the Bronx, New York, the Blues Magoos were at the forefront of the psychedelic music trend in the mid-1960s. Formed in 1964 as the Trenchcoats, the original lineup featured Emil Peppy Thielhelm, vocals guitar, Ralph Scala, organ vocals, Dennis Lepore, lead guitar, Ronnie Gilbert, bass, and John Finnegan, drums. They made a name for themselves performing at various clubs in New York City's Greenwich Village. In 1966, they rebranded as the Blues Magoos and released their debut album, Psychedelic Lollipop, which included the hit single, We Ain't Got Nothin' Yet. This track reached number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100, propelling them into the national spotlight. Internal changes in the rapidly evolving music scene led to their disbandment in 1970. Members pursued various projects. Pepe Castro, for instance, joined the band Barnaby Bye.
In keeping with our policy of bringing you the best in the pop groups around today, we have a very exciting group called the Blues Magoos. And I'd like you to meet each Magoo. First, we have Pepe Magoo. And next, we have Mike Magoo. Next is Jeff Magoo. And then there's Ralph Magoo. And last but not least, we have Ronnie Magoo. Wait a minute, there's Tom Magoo? Hey. Hey, Tommy. Hey, what are you doing in there? Well, I like their group so much that I thought I'd like to perform with them. Well, did you ever stop to ask, Tommy, did you ever stop to think they might not like you to work with them? They might not like you at all? Are you kidding? They love me. To know me is to love me. Okay, well, let's see, Tom. Hey, fellas, how do you feel about my brother working with you in the group? Hey, guys, cool. It's okay. I'll drop out.
17. Fever Tree. Originating in Houston, Texas, Fever Tree began in 1966 as a folk rock group called the Bostwick Vines. The addition of keyboardist Rob Landis in 1967 prompted a name change to Fever Tree. The lineup featured Dennis Keller vocals, Michael Noost guitar, E. Bud Wolf bass, and John Tuttle drums. Their 1968 single, San Francisco Girls Return of the Native, captured the essence of the West Coast psychedelic sound, peaking at number 91 on the Billboard Hot 100. The song's success led to their self-titled debut album, which showcased a blend of psychedelic rock with classical and jazz influences. Despite their initial promise, Fever Tree struggled to maintain momentum. Subsequent albums, including Another Time, Another Place and Creation, failed to achieve significant commercial success. Factors such as management issues and the pressures of the music industry contributed to their decline. By the early 1970s, the band had disbanded, with members pursuing individual careers.
Out there, it's summertime. Milk and honey day.
Tired of expensive, low-effort script writers for your YouTube channel? Autoscripter.ai is the ultimate solution. Say goodbye to low-quality, poorly retention amateur scripts that fail to generate thousands of views for your channel. At a fraction of the cost, Autoscripter.ai helps your videos go viral. In just 3 steps, Autoscripter.ai creates a polished script tailored to your needs. Just input your title concept, select your tone and style. The intuitive interface makes editing and refining effortless, fast, smart, and trusted by hundreds of satisfied users who have already discovered the amazing tool. Start your free trial today and watch Autoscripter.ai transform your YouTube channel. Just click the link in the video description below now.
16. The Circle. Formed by guitarists Don Daneman and Tom Dawes while attending Lafayette College in Easton, Pennsylvania, The Circle began as a frat rock band called the Rondells. Their big break came when they were discovered and managed by Brian Epstein, the Beatles manager, who suggested the unique spelling of their name, reportedly at the suggestion of John Lennon. In 1966, The Circle released Red Rubber Ball, a song co-written by Paul Simon and Bruce Woodley of The Seekers. The track became a significant hit, reaching number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100. They followed up with Turn Down Day, which also charted, though with less impact. That same year, The Circle had the distinction of opening for the Beatles during their final US tour, sharing stages with the Fab Four and experiencing the height of Beatlemania firsthand. Despite these achievements, The Circle struggled to maintain their momentum. The rapidly changing music scene and internal challenges led to their disbandment in 1968.
I should have known you bid me farewell.
15. Strawberry Alarm Clock. Emerging from the vibrant Los Angeles music scene, Strawberry Alarm Clock became synonymous with the psychedelic sound of the late 1960s. Their 1967 hit Incense and Peppermints captured the era's essence, reaching number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. The band's lineup featured Ed King, who later joined Lynyrd Skynyrd, and their music was characterized by harmonious vocals and innovative instrumentation. Strawberry Alarm Clock disbanded in the early 1970s but experienced several reunions in the decades that followed.
By the cockeyed world in two, throw you by the one side is the least you can do.
14. 14. The Electric Prunes. What if a band created a groundbreaking psychedelic rock masterpiece only to be completely overshadowed by their own eccentricity? The Electric Prunes, formed in 1965 in Los Angeles, were pioneers of experimental rock. Their 1966 hit, "I Had Too Much to Dream Last Night," became a staple of the psychedelic scene, blending surreal lyrics with innovative effects like reverse guitar and reverb. It peaked at number 11 on the Billboard Hot 100, putting them in the spotlight. Their music was bold, often venturing into uncharted territory. They collaborated with David Axelrod on their third album, Mass in F minor, a rock mass sung in Latin. While its concept was ahead of its time, it alienated casual listeners and was deemed too avant-garde for mass appeal. Still, it found a cult following and was even featured in the movie Easy Rider. The band's ambitions eventually became their undoing. Constant lineup changes and creative conflicts led to a loss of identity. By their fourth album, entirely different musicians were recording under the name The Electric Prunes, leaving the original members disillusioned. They disbanded by the early 1970s with their groundbreaking work relegated to underground appreciation. Fast forward to the 1990s, when renewed interest in psychedelic rock brought the Electric Prunes back together.
How big is the bulletin board?
Oh, it's pretty big.
So you can take a lot of it, huh? All right, well, we'll do that right after this. These fellas been working together, they tell me, a little less than a year. I didn't find out whether this is the first recording or not, but it's a gassy thing. Ladies and gentlemen, the Electric Prunes.
Last night your shadow fell upon my lonely room.
13. Love Sculpture. Can you imagine a band famous for transforming a classical piece into a rock anthem, only to vanish into obscurity? Love Sculpture, a Welsh blues rock trio fronted by Dave Edmunds, wowed audiences in 1968 with their electrifying rendition of Sabre Dance. This energetic rock version of Aram Khachaturian's classical composition was a surprising hit in the UK, reaching number 5 on the charts. Formed in 1966, the band's early focus was on blues standards, drawing inspiration from American blues legends like Elmore James and B.B. King. Their debut album, Blues Helping, showcased their impressive musicianship and included their breakout track, Sabre Dance. However, their unique sound wasn't enough to sustain long-term success. Love Sculpture struggled to evolve beyond their initial gimmick. Their second album, Forms and Feelings, leaned into more experimental territory but failed to capture the same magic. By 1970, the band disbanded, with Dave Edmunds embarking on a successful solo career. 12. Ultimate Spinach. In 1967, as the psychedelic wave swept across America, Boston's Ultimate Spinach emerged as a leading act in the so-called Bosstown sound. This marketing campaign, orchestrated by producer Alan Lorber, aimed to position Boston as the East Coast's answer to San Francisco's vibrant music scene. Ultimate Spinach, with their electric mix of psychedelic rock, jazz, and classical influences, became the movement's flagship band. Their self-titled debut album, released in 1968, showcased the band's experimental approach, featuring complex arrangements and thought-provoking lyrics. Tracks like Ballad of the Hip Death Goddess exemplified their unique sound, blending haunting melodies with avant-garde instrumentation. The album achieved moderate commercial success, peaking at number 34 on the Billboard charts. However, the Bosstown sound quickly faced backlash, with critics accusing it of being an industry-manufactured trend lacking authenticity. This negative perception tainted Ultimate Spinach's reputation, leading to skepticism about their artistic integrity. Despite releasing 2 more albums, Beholden Sea, 1968, and Ultimate Spinach 3, 1969, the band struggled to shake off the stigma. Internal tensions further hindered their progress. Founding member Ian Bruce Douglas departed after the second album, leading to significant lineup changes. The band's evolving sound failed to resonate with a broad audience, and by 1969, Ultimate Spinach disbanded. 11. Moby Grape. Formed in San Francisco in 1966, Moby Grape was a quintet where every member sang and contributed to songwriting, blending rock, folk, blues, and country into a cohesive and innovative sound. Their self-titled debut album, released in 1967, is often hailed as one of the era's finest, featuring standout tracks like Omaha and Hey Grandma. Despite their immense talent, Moby Grape's trajectory was marred by misfortune. Columbia Records' decision to release 5 singles simultaneously from their debut album created confusion and diluted their impact on the charts. Additionally, a lavish album launch party led to legal troubles when band members were arrested for marijuana possession, further hindering their momentum. Internal challenges compounded their struggles. Guitarist Skip Spence's mental health deteriorated due to excessive LSD use, culminating in a breakdown during the recording of their second album. He was diagnosed with schizophrenia and hospitalized, effectively ending his tenure with the band. Legal battles over the rights to their name and music ensued, draining the band's resources and resolve. By 1969, Moby Grape had disbanded, their potential unfulfilled. While they reunited sporadically in subsequent years, they never recaptured their initial spark.
Begun, the heavens shine from dawn to dusk with golden rays.
10. The 13th Floor Elevators. Fun fact, the 13th Floor Elevators are credited with coining the term psychedelic rock, forever changing the music scene. This Texas-based band, formed in 1965, brought a raw, experimental sound to the forefront of the 1960s counterculture movement. Led by Rocky Erickson, with Tommy Hall adding the distinctive sound of an electric jug, the Elevators were unlike anything audiences had heard before. Their debut album, The Psychedelic Sounds of the 13th Floor Elevators, 1966, became a defining moment for psychedelic music. The track You're Gonna Miss Me, with its driving rhythm and Erickson's wild vocals, became a cult hit and reached the Billboard Hot 100. The band's lyrical themes often explored mind expansion and existential musings, inspired by their use of LSD, which they openly endorsed as a tool for creativity and enlightenment. However, their embrace of the psychedelic lifestyle brought trouble. Rocky Erickson's mental health began to decline, exacerbated by his drug use. Legal troubles soon followed, including Erickson's infamous arrest for marijuana possession, which led him to pleading insanity and being institutionalized in a psychiatric hospital. Internal discord and the pressures of their controversial image led to the band's disbandment in 1969.
Hey, gentlemen, how are you? You have to have a lot of lung power to do that?
Yeah, you have.
Gene, you can get different sounds out of it, too, huh?
Yeah, you gotta be able to blow pretty strong.
Who is the head man of the group here, gentlemen?
Well, we're all heads.
All right, well, let me just stay loose with you for a second. I'll use you for the head man temporarily. What is your name, sir?
Tommy Hall.
Tom, would you introduce the fellas left to right?
This is Ronnie,
Ronnie, over here, buried back in the palms.
John,
John,
and that's Rocky,
Rocky,
and that's Stacy.
Stacy, nice to see you all. You know, you have an album out that I guess it's coming out next week. Have you picked the title for it?
Yeah, it's gonna be called Headstone.
We wish you all the very best of luck. I'm cutting this short because I know you're on your way to an airplane, and if I let you go right now, you've got half a chance of making it. We sure appreciate you coming by. Come back and visit our palms anytime. Thanks very much. The 13th Floor Elevators, ladies and gentlemen.
9. The Zombies. The Zombies album Odyssey and Oracle was nearly forgotten, but is now considered one of the greatest albums ever made. The Zombies, formed in St. Albans, England in 1961, were one of the most sophisticated bands of the British invasion. Known for their haunting melodies and intricate arrangements, they scored early hits with She's Not There and Tell Her No. But it was their second album, Odyssey and Oracle, 1968, recorded at Abbey Road Studios, that cemented their legacy. Tracks like Time of the Season showcase their knack for combining lush harmonies with introspective lyrics. Ironically, by the time the album gained traction, the band had already broken up due to lack of commercial success and exhaustion. In the years that followed, Odyssey and Oracle slowly gained recognition as a masterpiece, championed by critics and fellow musicians alike. It is now regarded as one of the greatest albums of all time, securing the Zombies' place in music history. The Zombies reunited in the late 1990s with original members Rod Argent and Colin Blunstone leading the charge.
Sorry, how would I know? Why should I care? Please don't bother trying.
8. Vanilla Fudge. Let me tell you a fun fact. Vanilla Fudge's unique rendition of You Keep Me Hangin' On inspired future rock legends like Deep Purple. Formed in 1966, Vanilla Fudge consisted of Mark Stein, vocals organ, Tim Bogert, bass vocals, Vince Martell, guitar vocals, and Carmine Appice, drums vocals. They became renowned for their slow, heavy, and extended covers of contemporary songs, infusing them with a psychedelic flair. Their 1967 self-titled debut album featured a groundbreaking version of the Supremes' You Keep Me Hangin' On, which climbed to number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100. The band's innovative approach involved deconstructing pop songs and reimagining them with complex arrangements and soulful intensity. This distinctive style not only set them apart from their contemporaries, but also laid the groundwork for the emerging heavy metal genre. Their influence is evident in bands like Deep Purple, whose organ-heavy sound was inspired by Vanilla Fudge's musical explorations. Despite their initial success, Vanilla Fudge faced challenges in sustaining their momentum. They released several albums between 1967 and 1969, including The Beat Goes On and Renaissance, but internal tensions in the rapidly changing music landscape led to their disbandment in 1970. Over the years, the band reunited multiple times, continuing to perform and record new material. 7. The Peanut Butter Conspiracy. The Peanut Butter Conspiracy's lead vocalist, Barbara Sandy Robeson, was one of the earliest female singers in a rock band, paving the way for future generations of women in rock. Emerging from Los Angeles in 1966, the Peanut Butter Conspiracy was a psychedelic pop rock group that evolved from the folk rock band The Ashes. The lineup featured John Merrill, guitar vocals, Alan Brackett, bass vocals, Lance Baker Fent, guitar, Jim Voigt, drums, and Barbara Sandy Robeson, vocals, whose powerful voice became the band's defining feature. Their debut album, The Peanut Butter Conspiracy is Spreading, 1967, showcased their harmonious blend of folk and psychedelic rock. Tracks like It's a Happening Thing captured the zeitgeist of the 1960s counterculture, earning them a dedicated following. They shared stages with prominent acts such as The Doors and Jefferson Airplane, further cementing their place in the psychedelic scene. Despite their talent and initial promise, the band struggled with commercial success. Subsequent albums, including The Great Conspiracy, 1967, and For Children of All Ages, 1969, failed to make significant impact. Internal challenges and the pressures of the evolving music industry led to their disbandment in 1969. Barbara Robeson continued to perform after the group's dissolution, including a stint in the musical Hair, but she passed away in 1988. 6. Spanky and Our Gang. It was said that Spanky and Our Gang's song Give a Damn was so provocative that it reportedly drew a complaint from President Richard Nixon. Formed in 1966, Spanky and Our Gang was an American folk rock band led by Elaine Spanky McFarlane. The group's name was inspired by the Our Gang comedies of the 1930s, known to modern audiences as the Little Rascals. They quickly gained recognition for their harmonious vocals and catchy tunes. Their debut album, released in 1967, featured hits like Sunday Will Never Be the Same, which reached number 9 on the US Billboard Hot 100, and Lazy Day, peaking at number 14. Both songs sold over 1 million copies, earning gold disc status. In 1968, they released Give a Damn, a song addressing social issues and advocating for racial equality. Its provocative title led to limited airplay, especially during family viewing hours, and reportedly prompted complaints, including one from President Nixon. Despite this, the song became a regional hit and was used as the campaign song for New York Mayor John Lindsay. Tragically, in October 1968, lead guitarist Malcolm Hale died from carbon monoxide poisoning due to a faulty heating system. His death was a significant blow to the band, leading to their disbandment in early 1969. They briefly reunited in 1974, adopting a more country sound, but eventually parted ways.
But I'd like to get to know you. Yes, I do. But I'd like to get to know you. If I could.
5. The Rascals. Fun fact, the Rascals, initially known as the Young Rascals, were among the pioneers of blue-eyed soul, blending rock and R&B to create a distinctive sound. Formed in 1965 in Garfield, New Jersey, the Rascals consisted of Felix Cavaliere, keyboards vocals, Eddie Brigatti, vocals, Gene Cornish, guitar, and Dino Danelli, drums. They quickly made a name for themselves with energetic performances and soulful melodies. Their 1966 single Good Lovin' became a breakout hit, reaching number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. They followed up with a string of successful songs including Groovin' 1967 and People Got to Be Free 1968, both of which also topped the charts. Their music was an eclectic mix of influences including soul, R&B, Motown, Afro-Cuban music, and garage rock. Despite their success, the band faced internal tensions and challenges adapting to the rapidly changing music landscape. They disbanded in 1972 but have reunited for special performances over the years. In 1997, the Rascals were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. 4. The Tremolos. The Tremolos were chosen over the Beatles by Decca Records in a 1962 audition, a decision that remains one of the most infamous in music history. Formed in 1958 in Dagenham, Essex, the Tremolos initially performed as Brian Poole and the Tremolos. Their early lineup featured Brian Poole, vocals, Alan Blakely, rhythm guitar, Rick Westwood, lead guitar, Alan Howard, bass, and Dave Munden, drums. In 1962, Decca Records auditioned both the Tremolos and a then-unknown band called the Beatles, ultimately signing the Tremolos due to their proximity to London. The band found success with covers like Twist and Shout and Do You Love Me, the latter reaching number 1 on the UK singles chart in 1963. After Brian Poole's departure in 1966, the Tremolos continued as a quartet, achieving hits such as Here Comes My Baby and Silence is Golden, which topped the UK charts in 1967. Despite their success during the 1960s, the Tremolos struggled to maintain their popularity into the 1970s. 3. The Easy Beats. The Easy Beats were the first Australian rock band to score an international hit with their 1966 single, Friday on My Mind. Formed in Sydney in 1964, the Easy Beats comprised Stevie Wright, vocals, George Young, rhythm guitar, Harry Vanda, lead guitar, Dick Diamond, bass, and Gordon Snowy Fleet, drums. The band members were all migrants, and they began their career performing at local venues like Beetle Village. Their early success in Australia led to international attention, and in 1966, they signed with United Artists Records. The single Friday on My Mind, written by Young and Vanda, became a global hit, reaching #1 in Australia and charting in the UK and the US. Despite this success, the Easy Beats faced challenges in sustaining their international momentum. Subsequent singles failed to replicate the success of Friday on My Mind, and internal tensions, along with changes in the music industry, led to their disbandment in 1969. 2. The Shags. Fun fact: the Shags' father formed the band based on his mother's prophecy that his daughters would become a famous musical group. In 1965, in the small town of Fremont, New Hampshire, sisters Dorothy Dot, Betty, and Helen Wiggin were thrust into the music world by their father, Austin Wiggin Jr. He believed in a prophecy that his daughters would achieve fame as musicians. Despite having no prior musical experience, the sisters formed the Shags, with Dot on lead guitar and vocals, Betty on rhythm guitar and vocals, and Helen on drums. Their father was determined to see the prophecy fulfilled. He withdrew them from school, arranged music lessons, and scheduled regular practice sessions. In 1969, he financed the recording of their debut album, Philosophy of the World. The album featured original songs written by Dot, characterized by unconventional rhythms, offbeat melodies, and raw, unpolished performances. Initially, the album received little attention and was largely forgotten. However, over time, it gained a cult following for its outsider art appeal. Frank Zappa reportedly proclaimed the Shags better than the Beatles, and Kurt Cobain listed Philosophy of the World among his favorite albums. Despite their growing underground acclaim, the Shags disbanded in 1975 following their father's death.
Sometimes I worry over nothing at all. Sometimes I think like
1. The Gentrys. Fun fact: the Gentrys' 1965 hit Keep On Dancing was recorded in a single take, capturing the raw energy of the band's live performances. The Gentrys were a garage rock band formed in Memphis, Tennessee in 1963. The original lineup consisted of Jimmy Hart, vocals, Gary McEwen, guitar, Jerry Lee Smoochie Smith, bass, and Jimmy Duck Holmes, drums. They were part of the vibrant Memphis music scene, which also produced artists like Elvis Presley and Jerry Lee Lewis. Their most notable hit, Keep On Dancing, was released in 1965 and reached number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100. The song's infectious rhythm and catchy chorus made it a dance floor favorite. The Gentrys' sound was characterized by energetic performances and a blend of rock and roll with rhythm and blues influences. Following the success of Keep On Dancing, the Gentrys released several singles and albums, but none matched the impact of their breakout hit. The band underwent multiple lineup changes and struggled to maintain commercial success. They disbanded in 1967, with members pursuing various musical projects. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Love this video? Check out our playlist of other musical mysteries and forgotten legends. See you in the next one, and keep rocking!